Welcome, Fáilteoireamh. Just over a year ago, leaving cert members of Trim's Gluais traditional music group, Gluais, recorded Mariah Carey's Hero from the social distancing of their own homes as a tribute to frontline workers. And this went viral, as they say, and was even featured on the RTE main news bulletin. As a tribute to the continuous bravery, dedication and commitment of these frontline workers, the founder of Gluais, teacher Michael Farry, invited back past members of the group to perform Hero once more, this time live at Navan Hospital to mark 1 year on. We included the first video some time ago. So we're going to start this week with their performance from Navan Hospital, paying tribute once more to our heroes. Here's Gluais.
There's a hero. If you look inside your heart, you don't have to be afraid of what you are. And there's an answer if you reach into your soul, and the sorrow that you know will melt away. Then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. So when you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong, and you'll finally see the truth, and that a hero lies in you. It's a long road when you face the world alone. No one reaches out a hand for you to hold, and you can find love if you search within yourself, and the emptiness you felt will disappear. And then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. So when you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong, and you'll finally see the truth, that a hero lies in you. Lord knows dreams are hard to follow, but don't let anyone tear them away. Well, hold on, there will be tomorrow. In time, you'll find the way. And then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. So when you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong, and you finally see the truth, that a hero
Hello everybody, I hope you're all in fine form. The song Teddy O'Neill is an old one, and it's a folk song. That means that Michael Farry doesn't know who wrote it. Well, I certainly don't know who wrote it, and but I wouldn't be surprised if Michael Farry turned up some information about it. But meantime, I would like to tell you about what used to be sung to the same air was the local song, The Old Ivied Cottage Near Trim. Now, today's residents of the town won't know much, if anything, about the old Ivied Cottage Near Trim. But when I was young, it was a popular song in the houses when we'd get together to have a ceilidh or party. My own Aunt Angela, of whom of fond memory, loving memory, I'm always quoting, one of her sons, Ollie, sang it, and I know that the late Sean Fay, late of Emmett Street and Moymouth, he also sang it very well. In fact, my sister Anne had a video of Sean Fay singing the Old Ivied Cottage Near Trim, and usually without any musical accompaniment. But I had an idea. It's a very haunting air, and I found a nice musical arrangement of it, and I thought I would do something different, and maybe I would sing along with this musical arrangement if I can, and see how it works. Let's see now. I'm lonely tonight, my poor heart is breaking, to think I must roam from my once happy home, and long ere the green veils at morning awaken, far away from the dear ones in Trim I must roam. Dear home of my childhood, wherever I wander, though my life's cup with sadness be filled to the brim, in darkness or sorrow my heart shall grow fonder, and cling to that old ivy cottage near Trim. Now fill up your glasses, my lads and my lasses, fill them all up till they flow to the brim. Where'er you'd be toasting green Erin forever, and toast to the old ivy cottage near Trim. Oh, never again at a race fair or meeting shall I join the boys for a real Irish spree, to while the gay hours with music and dancing, and light hearts o'erflowing with innocent glee. Never again over Portuguese green meadows shall I roam with my Colleen, so fair by my side, where King John's hoary castle throws forth its broad shadows, and darkens the sheen on the Boyne's silvery tide. When at last my poor sad heart in deathless devotion, when at last I am sleeping in death cold and grim, shall my soul wing its flight o'er the broad bounding ocean, way back to that old ivy cottage near Trim, back to that old ivy cottage near Trim. I hope that worked. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Now here's a poem of mine called The Friary Bell. And it's based on the fact that there's an archaeological site in Trim, the remains of a Dominican friary, which is visited every summer by students from all over the world to excavate. And locals are also invited down to view and to take part in the excavations at times. And I've done that a couple of times. And it's fascinating. But this poem is not really based on reality. The bell that I mentioned is long gone. The monastery was dissolved under Henry VIII in the 1530s or the 1540s. The poem is based on that feeling when you are excavating that you never know what you're going to come across under the earth that has been buried there for centuries. The Friary Bell. After dissolution, at the Friary chattel sale, the only unsold item was the great bell, abandoned there among the ruins, unvalued. Children pelted it with stones, and grown-ups, unsettled by its tone, dug a hole, stowed it deep where it could call no more. Or maybe not. There is a story of a sinner staggering past the black gate at a late hour, centuries after, terrified by a church bell tolling close by. The shock saved him, it is said, and he spent the remainder of his days in sober penitence and prayer, if the folklore can be believed. Though our digging is led by solid evidence, geophysical surveys, standard friary layouts, and what remains here above the ground, deep down, each digger longs for the day when spade or trowel hits hollow metal, rings out the sound of certainty. We'll be back to you after this short break.
Keep collecting your Texaco tokens from participating Texaco stations for this superb personal stereo cassette player. Just one of the exciting free gifts from the great Texaco collection.
Oh, Rolo. Can you draw stereos?
Uh-huh.
Great. Can you draw girls?
Girls? No problem.
Would you like my last Rolo?
Rolo. Soft, creamy toffee in a milk chocolate cup.
Can you draw the blind?
Do you love anyone enough to give them your last Rolo?
Oh.
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're all keeping very well. It's a beautiful afternoon here in Trim, County Meath. Once upon a time, fairy story of sorts, yes. Once upon a time, there worked in my aunt and uncle's shop in East Road, Dublin, a young girl called Jean. And apparently she fell upon some of the M&M series that I've been doing on YouTube, and inquired if that was the same Matt Gilsenan that used to sing The Moon Behind the Hill. Well, Jean, it is the same Matt Gilsenan, and you're the same Jean. And I haven't sung The Moon Behind the Hill since I was fresh out of short pants. And now, as people might have observed, my breath is the only thing that comes in short pants. So anyway, I looked it up, and with the help of technology and a few things, I think I'll be able to give it a lash if we get this thing going. Yeah, sure, we'll see what happens. The Moon Behind the Hill. I watched last night the rising moon upon a foreign strand, till memories came like flowers of June, of home and fatherland. I dreamt I was a child once more, beside the rippling rill, when first I saw in days of yore the moon behind the hill. It brought me back the visions grand that purpled boyhood's dreams, the youthful loves its happy land, as bright as morning beams. It brought me back my own sweet Nore, the castle and the mill, until my eyes could see no more the moon behind the hill. It brought me back a mother's love, until in accents wild I prayed her from her home above to guard her lonely child. It brought me once across the wave to live in memory still. It brought me back my Mary's grave, the moon behind the hill. Now, Jean, I hope you enjoyed that revitalized version of The Moon Behind the Hill. And stay safe, girl. Stay safe, and all of you.
A few weeks ago, we had some nonsense poems by Edward Lear. Another writer from the same general era who wrote nonsense poems was Lewis Carroll. Lewis Carroll was the pen name of Charles Dodgson, who was born in 1832 and died in 1898. And he's best known for his book Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, Alice in Wonderland, and its sequel, Through the Looking Glass. This poem, in fact, comes from Alice in Wonderland. Alice recites it when the caterpillar asks her to say a poem. You Are Old, Father William, by Lewis Carroll. You are old, Father William, the young man said, and your hair has become very white. And yet you incessantly stand on your head. You think at your age that is right. In my youth, Father William replied to his son, I feared it might injure the brain. But now that I'm perfectly sure I have none, why, I do it again and again. You are old, said the youth, as I mentioned before, and have grown most uncommonly fat. Yet you turned a back somersault in at the door. Pray, what is the reason of that? In my youth, said the sage, as he shook his grey locks, I kept all of my limbs very supple. By the use of this ointment, 1 shilling the box, allow me to sell you a couple. You are old, said the youth, and your jaws are too weak for anything tougher than suet. Yet you finished the goose with the bones and the beak. Pray, how did you manage to do it? In my youth, said his father, I took to the law, and argued each case with my wife, and the muscular strength which it gave to my jaw has lasted the rest of my life. You are old, said the youth, one would hardly suppose that your eye is as steady as ever. Yet you balance an eel at the end of your nose. What made you so awfully clever? I have answered 3 questions, and that is enough, said the father. Don't give yourself airs. You think I can listen all day to such stuff. Be off, or I'll kick you downstairs. And finally this week, we have a song by Matt with Dolores on the piano from 1985, which I think must be around 36 years ago. The song is The Little Grey Home in the West, and with it we have some pictures from a recent visit to St Anne's Park, Raheny, Dublin. Do remember that all these videos are available on our YouTube channel, Matt and Michael Lockdown, which also has Matt's Sing Along with Matt. And we've just released his 4th sing-along last week. So there's plenty there to amuse you. So until next week, hold firm, stay safe, and God bless.
Sun sings in the hills, and the toil of a long day is o'er. Though the road may be long in the lilt of a song, I forget I was weary before. Far ahead where the blue shadows fall, I shall come to contentment and rest, and the toils of the day will be all charmed away in my little grey home in the West. There are hands that will welcome me in. There are lips I am burning to kiss. There are 2 eyes that shine just because they are mine, and 1,000 things other men miss. 'Tis a corner of heaven itself, though it's only a tumble-down nest. But with love brooding there, why no place can